My name is Andy Dorsey, and yours is probably not. So I'm from the Chicago suburbs. I grew up in the American Midwest, and I moved here to Berlin, Germany in 2016. Now, when I moved here, I continued to eat food, this generally being one of the more pleasant ways to stave off death on a daily basis. And as I was doing my grocery shopping, I couldn't help but chuckle a little bit at all of the American branded products that are on sale here. Now, I'm not talking about American products that are imported and sold here. I'm talking about products that are made in Germany or Europe or somewhere nearby and then sold with American branding. So with American flags on them or the constituent elements thereof. So stars, stripes, red, white and blue. Many of the products have names in English without German explanations. So things like this. Now, in the meantime, I've gotten used to this, but I thought it might be kind of fun to take you on a journey through the American foods which you can find here for sale in Germany. And I thought a good place to start for that would be American cookies. Because whoever runs German grocery stores seems to have a, I would say actually fairly accurate impression of the American diet, or at least the fact that it contains quite a bit of sugar. So most of the supposedly American products which you find here are sweets, desserts, cookies, candy, or sauces. Sauces with a lot of sugar in them. So yeah, American cookies I suppose are a pretty good place to start. You can find them in pretty much every German grocery store. I brought two with me today, one from Edeka. This is a pretty good example of American food products here. You can see American style cookies. It's got stars, stripes, red, white and blue. This is Gut und Günstig. That's Edeka's house brand, so the cheap off-brand cookies. I also brought for you these from Netto. These are the famous American-style cookies. What I think is interesting about these is that, I mean, there's not really anything that visually marks them as American. They seem almost kind of embarrassed of the fact that these are American-style cookies, which I'm not sure that they are actually American-style cookies, so I don't know why you would put that on there if you're kind of ashamed of it. In any event, this is rather an anomaly that they don't have anything red, white and blue on here. Now, these ones here, by the way, are made in the Netherlands, and the packaging is in German, Danish, Swedish and Polish. So that's the market for these. The Edeka ones, on the other hand, are made here in Germany, and the packaging is only in German except for American-style cookies. Here it doesn't even specify that they're chocolate chip cookies, although in German it does say down here that they're made with Vollmilchschokoladenstückchen, which means small pieces of whole milk chocolate, which of course in German is all one word. So before we get to tasting these, maybe we can do a little bit of history about cookies, or what they seem to think are American-style cookies. So of course, desserts, sweet baked goods, I would say, are fairly popular all around the world. But chocolate chip cookies, which is what we evidently have here, are in fact an American invention. They were created in the late 1930s in Massachusetts, and they are consistently ranked as Americans' favorite kind of cookie. So there is actually some truth here. This is not entirely made up that Americans are associated with chocolate chip cookies. Now, an interesting fact, you may be aware that the word cookie originally comes from Dutch, koekje, which means it's a diminutive form of cake. It means little cake. And this is one of the few legacies of Dutch colonialism in North America. Of course, New York was originally the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam until the 1670s. And so, yeah, the people there were making these koekjes. And when it became then an English colony and later the United States, apparently this term morphed into cookie. And this is one reason why in North America we say cookie, where much of the rest of the English-speaking world still says biscuit. So it's based on this colonialism in North America, which obviously they did not have back in Britain. So that's where they still use the term biscuit. It's much more common than cookie. That comes from Old French, biscuit, or something of that nature, which in turn comes from Latin, means twice baked. And it's related to biscotto, or biscotti, if you like the American pronunciation, biscotti, so Italian cookies. Now we can go ahead and have a taste here. We've got first the Edeka ones, American style cookies. You can see it's got a nice thickness to it. It's a little bit small compared to the palm of my hand, but yeah, I mean the chocolate chips look kind of like chocolate chips. That's not too bad. The Netto ones look almost exactly the same, so also kind of thick and small, and again the chocolate chips don't look so bad. I've had these before. I was actually expecting the chocolate chips to be a little bit grosser, but these look okay. So they're quite crunchy, a little bit dry, the ones from Netto, and yeah, I mean, same for the ones there from Edeka. I mean, if I didn't know that these were made in different countries, I would say they're probably just made at the same factory and put with a different label on them. But it's not really what you hope for, I guess, with a chocolate chip cookie. These kind of taste like chocolate chip cookies that have dried out. I personally much prefer soft cookies, but these I would say are even crunchier and drier than the standard. They're not especially good. I'm not sure actually why you would eat them. This is like something if you have, I don't know, grandchildren over, you leave these cookies sitting in a bowl for them, I guess, and they eat it because there's nothing better to do. Yeah, they're just not that good. And I thought then, since most of these foods are not going to be good, it would be nice maybe to end with a recommendation for a German equivalent. So what is the native food product that is most similar? I mean, if you come over here, you don't want to go to the grocery store and buy American-style cookies for your visit. Like we say, they're just not that good. So what might you like to try instead? I mean, German cookies are okay. The ones that I like the best are probably Spekulatius, which are kind of a Christmas time cookie over here. They also supposedly originate in the Netherlands, so I guess yeah, cookies apparently have this Dutch origin to them that goes across space and time. In any event, Spekulatius, sort of cinnamon flavored cookie. They're also quite dry and crunchy, but it's a good kind of crunchy. You know, some cookies are meant to be crunchy, chocolate chip cookies are not meant to be crunchy, but Spekulatius, yes. And talking about German cookies, the German word for cookie is Keks, which, yeah, as you might guess, comes from the English word cake. Yeah, so in the late 19th century, yeah, cakes started to come over here, I guess cookies, and the Germans just used the English word cakes, but they had difficulty distinguishing between the singular cake and the plural cakes. They just said cakes for all of them. Now, the people who were in charge of the German language, or the people who wished they were in charge of the German language in the late 19th century said, hey, no guys, look, you can't call them cakes if there's just one of them. You have to say cake. But nobody listened to them, and so cakes was established as the German word for cookie. But yeah, I mean, you have to distinguish between singular and plural, so they also made the word kekse, which is just making a German plural of an English word that's already in the plural, but in German it's singular, so cakes, kekse, there you go. Neither of these, of course, should be confused with cakes, this particular brand of American-style farmer cookies, whatever farmer cookies are. Both cookies and cakes, the terms, come from a different Germanic language and refer to cake in some form or other. So, there you have it, American cookies, not that good, don't eat them, but now perhaps you know a little bit more about American food in Germany.